Hey, what's going on, fam? So I'm getting into a new series that I'm calling Lost in Translation. I'm trying to cut through some of the confusion, specifically in terminology. So as I get into this one, and probably a few others, these will make more sense if you are at least acquainted with my series on Hebrew geography. Okay, so with that said, right now I have the genealogy of Ham up. Okay, so Ham was one of the three sons of Noah. He had 4 sons. Okay, so his sons are Kush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan. And we're going to focus on Kush for right now. So the land that Ham got was a very large portion of Africa. This is the perimeter, and then here's Ham's territory, okay, associated with his color that I put in red. All right, that means that this being Ham's territory, this is the territory for all his children. So his 4 kids, okay, these 4, Kush, Mitzrayim, Put, Canaan, their land would fall within this territory here. Okay, so all their land is somewhere in Africa. So that's important to understand. So we got that, right? And we're going to take a look at this word because we'll see in the scripts that sometimes Kush is translated as Ethiopia. Okay, so here, this is, I just went to 2 Kings 19 verse 9, okay? And I think this is the KJV. So here it says, and when he heard say of Tirhaka, king of Ethiopia. So here it says king of Ethiopia, right? Then we go into the interlinear, king of Ethiopia, and we click on this, the Strong's. Oh, it's already telling you that it's actually, the word is Kush. So, okay, and also they're saying Kush means black. Oh, they're they're admitting a Benjamite mention. I guess his name Kush. That's for another study, I guess, but that's telling as well. The son of Ham, okay, right? And we're talking about that. Peoples descended from Kush, or the Kushites. And it's also associated to a land, right? The land of Kush. Okay, so here is where the problem is actually. So here it says the land occupied by the descendants of Kush. Then it tells you a location, located around the southern parts of the Nile. And then it says Ethiopia. Okay, so man, this is even worse than I thought, because I would agree with this this vagueness here where it says Kush located around the southern parts of the Nile, but not as they mention here according to where Ethiopia is today. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a map to see where Ethiopia is today. Okay, so here is a modern map. All right, so here's what and this is actually another son of Ham. Egypt means Mitzrayim. Okay, so they translated Mitzrayim to Egypt. I'll get into that in another one. So here's where they have Ethiopia today, okay, which they are translating Kush to Ethiopia. So people would assume from reading modern Bibles that the Kushites their land must have been here. And this is not the case. Okay, and the reason that we know that is if we go back to this map, okay, Remember that Kush is a son of Ham, so Cush's land would be in his father's territory. This is not his father's territory. So Cush is not a son of Shem, he is a son of Ham. His land must be somewhere in this red. Okay, now this is where Mitzrayim was, so he likely had his land in this area, okay, which is, somewhat southern, nearer where the Nile is starting to begin. Okay, this line, by the way, this black line, it's the Nile River. Okay, so this is where Cush's land would be, west of the Nile, still in the red, where his father's territory is. Okay, just on the other side of the Nile is the barrier between the land of Ham and the land of Shem. Okay, so the reason that this is important is because this area where we consider Ethiopia today is actually the land of the Hebrews. Okay, in Sudan and Ethiopia, the countries. Okay, so this is where the land of the Hebrews were. This is where all those historical events with the Israelites happened. By translating Kush to Ethiopia and then naming this area Ethiopia, where the Kushites' land could not be, is deceptive. Okay, it's deceptive, and I would consider it disinformation. Okay, what that means is this was done maliciously and deliberately. Whether or not the Gentiles understood what they were doing at the time, I know for sure that the fallen, the fallen angels and demons that are influencing them throughout Gentile history, they for sure understood what they were doing. So whether it was disinformation from the humans, it was for sure disinformation within the spiritual influence, the spiritual influences of darkness behind this. Okay, so I hope that made sense. Again, if you're confused why I'm not talking about the Levant, you need to go check out my Hebrew geography series. That it will make more sense to you after that. And again, just to reiterate, so where this says Ethiopia, where people think, those that know and understand lineage a little bit and are following that throughout the Hebrew writings, Ethiopia is supposed to be synonymous to Kush. This is where the Ethiopia country is in the land of Shem, which means children of Shem would have been allotted this territory. Now, there was a son of Ham that came into this territory, and his name was Canaan. And his brethren tried to dissuade him from doing this because they understood that a curse would fall upon him and his children, and that's how they got banished out of this land. That's the whole story of Joshua. Okay, when Joshua comes in and conquers Canaan, the Israelites were conquering this region. Okay, the reason that they invaded the Canaanites is because this region was allotted to their father, the Israelites' father, Shem. Okay, the Canaanites were supposed to be over in this area. Okay, the Canaan's land was west. Okay, Western Africa off the coast. Okay, so he had all this land, but as they were traveling, they being Ham and his children, okay, Ham and his children were following the Nile River down. All this is in the Book of Jubilees, by the way. They were following the Nile River down, going into their land. Canaan looked over and saw an incredible view. He saw the land flowing with milk and honey, okay, because the Most High was already preparing this land for when his people would come into it. Okay, so Canaan decided, hey, this looks good right here. I think I'm gonna stay here, which he did, and that's how it became known as Canaan. So the levels of deception, the fact that this land, like the Ethiopian highlands, and then this part of Sudan as well, okay, is actually the land of the Hebrews, and Canaan went into it and inhabited it with his children, and then eventually the Israelites are delivered out of Mitzrayim, right, out of Egypt. The Most High brings them eventually, because of their own fault, into the land that he promised them, okay, in which they have to conquer and destroy the inhabitants that are there, that have been defiling the land the whole time, their land. So these Hamites, also known as these Canaanites, right, were all inhabiting this land, and they were not abiding according to the laws of the Most High. And that is a serious violation, to put it lightly, I guess. But that was a serious violation. He had warned them. That's why he told, by the time Joshua gets there with the armies of the Hebrews, the Most High is telling him, go in and, annihilate these people. Okay, and they completely got destroyed, and that's the whole reason why. So the invasion was to take back their land, okay, from inhabitants that were not supposed to be there to begin with. I'm breaking this down because I don't want people to get misconstrued comparisons with what happened in the Americas. Okay, in the Americas, there was an invasion of the Gentiles, but the Americas was not their land. The situation with the Americas was similar to Canaan, actually, where Canaan went into a land that did not belong to him. That is what we saw with the Americas being conquered. You saw Europeans going into the Americas, taking over land that did not belong to them, and the same curse that fell on Canaan has fallen onto the Europeans, aka the Gentiles. And so, when you're looking at Revelation and those plagues hitting, okay, that's part of that. So I hope that made sense. All praises to the Most High Yah and to the Lion of Yahudah. Peace and love, family.